Welcome back to another episode of Suburban Sex with Remy and Addy, a Hot Tub Brad production. Oh, and there's Brad. He is back with full
Fresh
force
sound effects.
of all of his sound effects. He's missed them so. Oh,
So as I
Bradley.
understand it, you guys have been out sexing on the West Coast. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. We just got back from our 10-year wedding anniversary. Thank you very much. Where's the applause, Brad? Thank you. Thank you. We made it.
You weren't under the influence of vino during these crazy sex sessions, were you?
I mean, there was nothing but vino, pretty much full vino. It was Napa and Sonoma area, and we were full-fledged wine all the time. It was pretty great.
So not to get too off into the wine subject, but was there a favorite winery or favorite wine that you had on your trip?
Oh, yes. Yes. The very first winery we went to was Joseph Phelps. I don't know if you've been there.
No.
So good and beautiful. Like the views were stunning. It was absolutely gorgeous. And it was so romantic that the couple right next to us proposed right in front of our eyes. It was so precious.
Joseph Phelps.
I know.
Add
It
that
was
to
so
my list.
Yes. Oh, please do. That's a really good one. Joseph Phelps was the best. And then we, of course, our second favorite is Gloria Ferrer, which is where we got married. So we, of course, had to go back to the scene of the crime and take some pictures and reminisce and just feel all romantical.
Very nice. So what was the
Yeah.
favorite wine? Did you have one bottle or one taste that was the best?
I don't know. I mean, I think because of the views, they swayed me. Joseph Phelps wine was my favorite, but Brad, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we're not really super fancy wine drinkers. We mostly just like drinking on a patio
Yes.
if it's really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Phelps was great. Hall wines, those were good.
Yeah, the hall. That was good.
I've had a Hall Cab,
Mhm.
and I remember that being really good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really
We'll
cute.
have to have our winemaker friend on, see if he can give us some recommendations for like
Yes.
wine for getting it on.
No, that'd be
Mm.
great. Wine for getting it on.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna recommend red pretty much across the
Mm-mm.
board for that one, but who knows? Maybe there are more specifics. But yeah, it was a really good trip, and it was nice to get away from responsibilities, the kids, work, all of that good stuff. And yeah, it was a good trip. Now, every time we take just a couples only trip, Brad will rent on Turo a fun car, and he always keeps it a secret from me, as if I'm the one who's into cars, which is so funny because I'm not. It's Brad, and he's the one who gets super excited about it, but it's always a surprise for me. Brad, what are some of the other cars that you've rented?
We did a Jaguar F-Type one year. We did
Mhm.
a Porsche 911 last time. And this last trip, we got the new Corvette.
There you go.
I was just most intrigued that you went out and bought a new pair of glasses so the lenses would match the Corvette. I mean, that just threw me off. I'm just like, wow, this guy, he's over the top.
I don't think that's what I had in mind, but it did
Oh,
work
okay.
out that way.
It
Mhm.
did. Okay, so for our listeners, the Corvette was the brightest blue, like very eye-catching, very, very much like where your attention is drawn to, not only because it's a Corvette, but also because it is a super bright blue. It's beautiful. And he had way too much fun because he would have the ignition starter in his pocket, and as we're walking up, you would hear this vroom, like big, dramatic. Everyone's looking at us. It was pretty badass. It was pretty
It's
cool.
strange because he's typically the guy who gets the European cars. So it threw me
Mm-hmm.
off too that he went with the American muscle, you know?
Right? I
I
know.
think 10 years ago on our honeymoon, well, the day after the wedding, when the honeymoon started,
Mm-hmm.
we were in a Mustang, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The Brazilian lover, I'm sure, was very pleased with that.
yeah.
He's a fan. Yes.
So I had to get another American car. Is what I'm
There
saying.
you go.
Oh, I see.
Oh, so
Bringing it back.
sentimental
Oh,
about his cars.
see, it's his softer side came out with the
That's
cars.
right.
He thinks that
Oh,
through. So good job,
kind
Brad.
of silly.
Also, the Ferrari was about double the price, so I couldn't go
Mm,
with that.
so that'd
It
be
looks a
also
little
mine.
bit like a Ferrari. I mean, not
It
exactly, but
does.
It's just as fast as any Ferrari that you can
Mm-hmm.
rent on Turo. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
see, I
it
can
had
tell
some
I'm
oomph.
older now because the last time I got in the new Corvette, I realized this is really low and very difficult to get in and out of. I'm just
Yes.
like, okay, that is making me sound like an old man.
Mm-hmm. No, I felt it too. It was I felt like an old lady trying to get out. I had to like claw
Right.
my way out of that car, but you make it happen. And Brad, you were complaining about the seats. Like it was a tight seat for you.
The seat was way narrow. Like it's a racing seat, you know?
Yeah.
It's the side bolsters are like squeezing you, and it was fine. It was just a bit, if you're supposed to be able to adjust them, and I just couldn't get really comfortable, but
I
it was
guess
Yeah.
that's
fine.
why this is suburban sex, not on campus sex, because now things like that matter to us.
That's true.
That's
We've
correct.
gotten older.
A
In
little
our
wider.
40s, yeah.
Yeah.
A bit wider. But yeah, that was super cool, and it was a convertible, so of course wind's blowing in our hair, and we are cruising along to each winery. That we had a couple a day, and our Airbnb was super cool. It had a yurt in the back. I don't know, I had never heard of what a yurt is, but it is a yoga yurt that like is a little circular room with yoga mats and yoga blocks and little chimes. And what are the things where they like make all these noise, like the bowls where they're
Did
like
he give you a sound
dong?
bath?
Yeah. That's what it
Yeah.
is. It's like those little bowls for sound baths. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Remy, have
bizarre.
you heard the term yoga yurt before?
No, I have not. I mean, I know
No.
what the way you described it. I mean, I've seen them on Instagram where they have the little back rooms where, and I've seen sound baths, so I can kind of picture it just from Instagram, but
Yeah.
I have not experienced that. No.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
Mm-hmm.
a she shed, but dedicated towards yoga.
Yes. Yes.
So in your
That's
world,
perfect.
you would have that as like your sex shed, but theirs was dedicated to yoga.
Well, interesting that you say that, Remy. We
Mhm.
turned it into a
No,
sex
I
shed.
know where this is headed. So
But it was not it was not the fairy tale that Brad had imagined, because there were two doors on either side, and there was a window on each. Otherwise it was pretty enclosed, and technically it was on one property, but maybe the house behind, like their yard and property, if someone walked by they could see it. But I did not enjoy like the public aspect of it. That's just not been my thing, and it does not make me feel comfortable. So it didn't do much for me. But we had some fun. We did a little playing in there.
was there like the aerial ropes? Were you doing the aerial yoga and like turning
No,
into like a
that would
sex
be
swing?
cool though.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Not quite the porn star.
That'd be way too much work.
I forget. Post 40, man. It's about lazy sex. It's just
I
getting it done.
know. Just get that orgasm going. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we had some fun there. Brad, I don't know if you have anything you want to share about any fun highlights from the yurt.
Let me think. So, uh, first time getting a blowjob while I was in Downward Dog. That was fun.
Nice.
Never had that before.
To think that one through.
Also, really really hard to hold that position while you're getting a
Yeah.
blowjob.
Abs-
Yoga is
It's
strenuous.
it
It's
is.
Well,
not
so you
easy.
took it literally. So you literally acted out the
Mhm.
positions.
A
So
couple.
Brad was in downward dog and then
Mhm.
said, "Hey, this looks." Or whose idea was it
It
to
was
like,
her idea.
okay,
Yeah.
you do the positions and I'll just figure it out.
Yeah, I like played well, first of all, we went in there with big robes on, but we fully intended to have like naked yoga in there. And then let's see where that goes. So we had the mats out and we did a little bit of naked yoga and I kind of played the yoga instructor, I suppose.
Nice.
So we both did a couple of like stretches and poses and I think the stretching and things were also for me to kind of chill out because it was a new place and I knew there were open windows and it kind of I still kind of had that like fear of being seen even though that's exactly what Brad was like hoping for. But I used that time to just kind of get used to the space and our surroundings, but then I realized I probably wasn't going to get too deep into it, so I figured I'd help him.
You're on the West Coast. Anything goes there. So,
There you go.
it's not that abnormal for those things to happen in the West Coast. So, you just got to go with it.
That's right. And now we're going to start putting Brad more in down dog and see how long he can last.
Work on
Because it
that
was
core
like
strength.
a
Not
couple of
long.
seconds. Yeah.
All right. So,
He was
Brad
like,
had
oh.
fancy car, the fancy
Mm-hmm.
glasses. He was feeling pretty good, revving the engine. Did that
Mm-hmm.
change like his persona? I mean, did he embody like the sports car guy? I mean, was he different?
No.
She
No.
thinks the Corvette is an old man car.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Time out. I do in theory, but let me tell you, this model does change my perception about it. But certainly the idea of a Corvette does kind of make you think middle-aged, but hey, guess what? We're all middle-aged, so maybe it fits. But yeah, I used to kind of think that, but truly, this car was badass, so I enjoyed it.
so he did something for you then.
It did.
Okay. Okay.
It
So there's
did.
something to it. Get a cool car and it does something for the lady. Okay. I like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, when we had the top down, anytime I would punch the gas, it would blow her skirt up. It was awesome.
Nice. Now, her top was down or the car's top? Wait. Don't know.
Car's top,
Okay.
skirt up.
Now, what if both tops were down?
I
We
that
didn't
that
go
did
that
not
far.
happen. That did
Okay.
not happen, but there were other things that happened in the Corvette.
In the Corvette, now that's not an easy car for anything to happen. I mean, because I've been in that thing and like the dash is like tall and you're kind of below. I don't even
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
that's physically possible. I'm almost calling bullshit on that because it's
It's
not even.
not built for road head. I can tell you that.
No.
Right. There's like a big dash, like a big line in between me and him. So you're
I think I
correct.
might
There
have
was
just
no
called
road
some
head.
bullshit. Yeah, that's not possible. Not in that car. There's no back seat. There's nowhere. I mean, you can barely fit yourself in there.
Okay.
I mean, you
Okay.
could reach over to, but yeah, that's hard.
Mhm. Well, so you're correct that there was no interaction between the two of us, but I had my own solo play as we were driving in the car.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a
Cuz
fan of that.
what is it, Brad? What do you always say?
I can't take credit for this line, but there's a line from a movie where he says, "The vet gets him wet," and she thought that was funny.
Awesome.
I did. I thought that was very funny. And then
I
I
like
took it
that.
literally.
All right.
Mhm. Yeah. But it was cool. Like it was really cool. And then he would rev the engine and it was on our way between one winery to another and it was pretty cool. It was
So,
badass.
did the vibrations of the big giant motor kind of act as if a vibrator and work for you, or was it just the whole experience of having the cool car?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
experience of having a cool
Okay.
car and having my husband drive me around in it and it felt fun. It
That's
was
awesome.
fun.
And
Yeah.
it's beautiful outside. It's perfect weather.
Right. It was
We don't have any kids.
he says with such disdain.
Disdain.
We don't have any kids. But yeah, so the Corvette was fun. And
you had fun in it. Did Brad
sure
have any fun
did.
in it?
I mean, he had fun watching me have
I
fun.
had to keep both hands on the wheel, so I couldn't have as much fun as her.
So you couldn't pull over or anything like that?
There's no room for it. Like you said,
That's
there's
true.
no back
You'd have
seat.
to switch. Did you
There's
drive at all? That's the other question.
No. Now he offered if I wanted to drive, but I think I would have been stressed. So I said, no, you're it, dude. Yeah.
Got something else I can drive over here, you know.
But I'd never done that before. I had never.
Oh, that was your first time in a car?
Yes. I've never.
Surely you've done some kind of shenanigans in a car, right?
I'm sure. I don't know. I can't actually think of anything. Have we, Brad? I don't know if
We have not. I know we have not.
So I'm not sure that I have.
So the car was moving.
Yeah.
When you were doing your thing.
We were on like a highway, and then there were certain parts where we had to stop at a stop sign or stop light, and there were other like big trucks around us. So I would just.
Yeah, it's always the big trucks, man. Those are the ones that throw you off.
I had to kind of like adjust my dress.
We had the top
up. How much
did
you
right?
take off?
We had the top off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She didn't take anything off. She does it right through her underwear.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, the car is so low. You're almost more private in that car because it's like on the ground. So I don't think a truck could even see in.
That's
unless
what
it
I told her.
Another Corvette that was like really on the ground. I mean, maybe a guy on a motorcycle, but that's really the only thing I think that could possibly even. But if you didn't take any clothes off, then no one would know.
No, I don't feel like anyone would have known, but still, it's not my thing to have sex in public or masturbate in public or anything like that. That's just not my thing at the moment. So
doesn't count as public.
Shut the front door. Are you kidding me? Okay.
Right, Brad,
okay.
What did you
say?
in
the car.
I couldn't even hear. What did you say, Brad?
I said that doesn't count as public because I knew it would piss her off.
Oh my God.
In the car, like you said, no one can see what you're doing down there. And it's not like she was naked in the car.
Okay.
She just had her leg up.
So naked is key for you. So here's the thing. Brad is the exhibitionist. Yes. Brad wants to be naked. So maybe you should drive and let him get naked and do his thing. And that might fulfill his needs of. Oh, so it's just her.
No, he doesn't care.
I'm not sure I could perform like that.
Oh, really?
But I did.
Oh, challenge accepted.
Oh my God.
See, he can't perform.
Oh,
but you can.
My God. And I did. Check.
So this is where you have to one up it. You got to be like, okay, if I do it, you do it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I did think about trying to one-hand it while I was driving, but I didn't do it. Because I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the show. So I was getting a little worked up. So I probably could have,
But you didn't think you'd be able to perform. And to the woman who you say it's not public, it's not like I was still able to complete the process.
It's moderately public. Yes. Yeah.
Moderately public.
For God's sakes. And then the yoga yurt that had open windows, he also, I know, will count that as not public.
Well, it's just like if someone walked up to the house and looked through the bedroom window, that's pretty much the same thing as if they were going to see you in the yoga yurt. Because it was on the property. It was just a little separate house. Someone would have to walk up to your window.
But the idea isn't necessarily someone actually sees you. It's just the possibility. So it's kind of the mental danger, even though it's not real. It's just more in your head.
Remy,
as long as you both think it's possible, that should add that element of danger.
That's right. And that
And it
whole
did.
time, I felt
Good.
that.
She
So that's a
like
W. You know,
yeah,
it's a win.
Mm-hmm.
it was a win for me. For her, she couldn't get off. So
No, I couldn't in the yurt. Only in the vet,
Only in
baby.
the vet. The vet got her wet. I like it.
I
Now I'm gonna go buy a vet. What?
know,
Reagan's gonna
right?
be mad.
She's gonna be mad, but she'll be happy later. It's fine.
Absolutely.
We're all the whole wolf pack's gonna have vets lined up every time we go to someone's house.
it's a great car.
We'll
It
mount the
is.
Hitachi at the bottom of the seat. You know, just do our thing.
I love it. I love it. But
So,
no, it was a
in
good trip.
theory, you could get one of those, the Sibian, and build it into the seat. You know,
God.
all right, my imagination has just gone too many places.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god.
So, didn't we have a listener letter that we wanted to go over?
We do.
To change the subject from wet vets.
I know. Yes, here we are back at it. So, all right. So from our listener who does not want to be named,
Anonymous.
anonymous. How do you talk to your man about getting off? He never makes me come. I'm so over it and don't know how to talk about it. Girl.
Have him listen to the show. We kind of talk about that a lot on this show.
I know. That's what I want to ask first. Are you both listening to the show? Because if she's asking, clearly she knows about us. Is her spouse, partner, also listening? Because I think there's an element of both of you being on the same page, both of you kind of hearing some of the same sexual things that we talk about, and not necessarily that this podcast is going to solve for that, but I do think that there's something there that like helps encourage the conversation, right?
Are we sure that this lady is in a married long-term relationship?
Well, she didn't
Because
specify.
I don't know how that could go on and you don't know
Oh,
or care that
it
your
happens
woman
all the time.
Most women are not married to sex enthusiasts, and a
Really?
lot of
Yes.
guys are completely clueless when it comes to it. They just, you know, jump on, they do their thing, and is it good for you? And, you know, and the girl's just bored. I mean, you see it a lot of cliche in movies, but I don't know that every guy is fully aware of. And then if a woman has faked it in the past, that can become habitual.
Right.
So
And that's
unless
hard to
the
get
guy
out
is
of.
really slowing down to say, is this good for you? And
Yeah.
then if a girl doesn't really know what's good for her, it sounds like our listener has an idea of what's good for her because she knows this isn't it. But it
maybe
also
she
takes
doesn't
a certain
know.
guy that can hear that, because
I
not every guy's
know.
open to that, you know?
That's very true. Yep. Yeah, and she may or may not even know what is good for her. I mean, I hope so, from at least like her own solo play, and she has her own time. But when it comes to being with a partner, you also have to work together at that. It's not necessarily up to him, and maybe that adds pressure for a man to bring it up like that, to be like, I'm not coming, what are you doing wrong, kind of thing. I think not that she would say it that way, but maybe that's how it would come across to a man who doesn't exactly know, like, what exactly is it that you want, what's going to get you there.
Have you been with a guy like this who just climbs on top, gets off as soon as he can, and then rolls over and goes to sleep?
No, I have not been with a dude like that. So just FYI. No.
Good to know. It's not what I heard. But,
Yeah, I mean, I they wouldn't have been long-term relationships, but certainly I've been in those situations where it goes pretty quickly, and they do their thing, and then I've faked it plenty of times in my lifetime, but it's easier to do in your 20s. It's not as much fun in your 40s. You're like, fuck this, I want what I want too. So maybe that's like an age thing too, of just knowing what you want a bit more and having that practice. But yeah, I've had relationships where I've just been like, fine, do your thing.
Did you ever think uh, or ask for advice? How can I get him to care about my orgasm?
No, because I probably was already mentally leaving him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But the issue is if assuming this is our listeners and also in a long-term relationship, sometimes
Mhm.
you're thinking if this has gone on for so long and he doesn't know any better or doesn't care to know better, and then how do you start that conversation that I want things to be a little different? Or, is he comfortable with sex toys? Maybe incorporate that into it at first to show him, or put on a little show. This is what works for me. Let's try
Yes.
something different.
Mhm.
Put on a little show, do your thing, and then maybe you could kind of teach him. Because I think for a
Yeah.
lot of guys who are clueless, I mean, I think we're all there at some point in life. We need a woman that kind of knows what she wants and can demonstrate what she likes so we can almost mimic
Mhm.
it. I mean,
Mhm.
because a girl who knows what she wants can really teach a guy. And I know that you don't want to be the instructor all the time, but
I know.
to kind of at least discuss openly, this is what works for me. I'd love to hear what works for you, and
Mhm.
make it an open dialogue.
Yeah. And trying different positions and all of that. Like truly, we had not started reverse cowgirl. For the most part, that was not part of our typical core 4, right? And
Who? Me and you?
yeah, you and me. That was not
Okay.
like a typical. Who else are we talking about? But it was something that has just kind of like come up recently, maybe because we've been talking about it more with the podcast and it's, all of that. But uh, it doesn't necessarily have to be her teaching him, but it's also like we as women, we know that the toys work rather well and we know exactly where to put it. Even today, Brad was like, he had the vibrator in his hand, he put it in the general vicinity, and both of us kind of laughed because we're like, yeah, you're not going to get it where I need it to be. So I'll just take that, and then I did. We know that that just works better for us, and I think for her, she can do the same, where if she's got a toy that's her favorite, bring that into the equation, put it exactly where you want it, and do a fun position like reverse cowboy or something like that, or doggy style, something where you can still have control of your own orgasm while he's also working on his, but then you talk about it afterwards like, hey, that was, give me a few more minutes, or I was so close, maybe, things like that, that just kind of like you've got to be able to just, little bits and pieces here and there to make it a conversation.
I'm so confused by this lady because it's this could be way off base, but like if it's your orgasm, shouldn't you be taking some ownership over your orgasm instead of just saying, "Well, he did it again. He came in me and went to sleep
Okay.
and I didn't get anything." Why isn't she taking some of the responsibility to get her own orgasm in this
Well, there's some
situation?
truth to what you're saying. I give you that. However, I think sometimes if people just rush through it, there's no foreplay. There may be a lot of pressure that, a lot of women can't necessarily go to climax from penetration alone. Maybe there needs to be a lot of foreplay, or use the toy first and then go to warm up a little bit. Or maybe it's okay to use the toy to get off after something,
Mhm.
as long as both parties are cool with that. So
Right.
that way you take the pressure off that we have to come at the exact same time through penetration alone,
Right.
which, you put this in a box and there's so much pressure that way.
Mhm. Mhm. No, I agree. I Brad, you're right, but I also don't want to make her feel like it's like her fault. I think for the most part, it's just a conversation that they haven't had yet. And maybe that's what she's posing here is like, how do I even start that conversation to help him understand that I'm not quite there? And, maybe she's been faking it and
How do
he's
I tell my man that he sucks in bed? That's what it comes
Aw.
down to, right?
See, you're taking
Well,
it personally, and I think she's
yeah,
afraid
true.
to bring it up to him because he probably would also take it exactly that same way. So that's not entirely fair. And I'd want him to know that it's not a ding against him in bed. It is not that he's bad. It's not that he's like not thoughtful of her. It's that they both need to work on it together.
True. My suggestion is just get curious, just, for all of us, even if your sex life is great, get curious about what's going on with your partner, what they like, what they don't like. I mean,
Mhm.
Brad, you're an enthusiast on going down on her. I think that's not necessarily the norm. I mean, there's a lot of guys who don't necessarily give that back.
Right.
I mean, but maybe that isn't her thing. But it's
Mhm.
just important that you find out what your partner's thing is. And if you're not asking those questions, and then maybe some women, they're so busy being mom, they don't know what their thing is because they're
Mhm.
so overworked and they're so busy. And then she's expecting him to get her there, but
Yeah.
yet she's out of touch with herself. So
Yeah. That has to be a teamwork situation there. Yeah. But that is a small conversation here and there right after sex. I am all about the sex debriefs right after the next time they have sex so it doesn't seem random out of the blue, but it's like if they have a few minutes, hey, I didn't get a chance to come. To be honest, I it's been hard for me to come. So not it's not about him not making her come, but it's more of like I have not been able to come it recently or in the last, however long, and we're in this together. I could use some help on that. Like how do we make that work? Just kind of helping to kind of speak to that partnership piece because we're in it together. That's the whole point.
it's almost like some people have different sexual love languages too, where I know there have been times where, I've been wanting to be more verbal or get more into fantasy. And she's like, well, just feel. Don't worry about the fantasy, where that was what I was into that particular time. Other times, I can just do my thing and not necessarily need that. But we're all in different
Mhm.
places at different times. If you're
Right.
reading these erotic books, there's
Mm.
different images in your head and your expectations may be so different than his. So you kind of have to understand where each partner's coming from, and it's not going to be the same every time either.
Right. Yeah. Um this all does remind me. I'm gonna sidebar for a second. Brad, you'd asked like other relationships I've had, and I would not consider this a relationship like at the start that was like this, but um I mentioned if it's not getting me there, then I'm probably gonna walk away anyway. So it was clearly not a long-term relationship. But did I tell y'all this before? I know I told Brad. There was a guy I dated that like he ended up being so OCD, and I think it was just because we weren't clicking towards the end. We both probably knew it, but I was definitely like mentally almost ready to walk away. One time we were having sex and he's on top and his hands are like at the top of the bed and the fitted sheet came off and it was like on his hand. He stopped having sex. He got off of me to fix the bed.
Worst sex move ever.
Oh my god.
Not that we're
My
knocking that if our listeners are obsessed with
Oh,
having your sheets neat, but
I'm yeah, I'm gonna yuck on that yum.
wow.
Yeah. No, that's a big no-no for me, but
So wait, after he fixed the sheet
he climbed back on.
and you
I don't
you
know.
proceeded,
I really don't know.
jeez.
I think I was kind of bitchy at that point because I was like, fuck this. I'm
Yeah,
already like
that
mentally,
sounds right.
yeah, that sounds like thanks, honey.
I'm just trying to I'm just trying to think if I was in that situation with you, you probably would have looked at me like, "Okay, we're done.
We're done. Yeah.
We're done."
I
Well,
think I
hopefully,
did. I
all our
tried.
listeners have screened out the bedsheet guy,
Yeah.
and the person you ended up with is someone you actually like that's not obsessed with the bedsheets.
I
So
know, right? Wouldn't that be funny though if his wife, whatever wife he has now, is listening and like, God damn it.
You fucked
Oh,
Addy?
yeah. Yeah, that was probably my worst sex experience, but that just reminded me of that.
I
Anyway,
guess all our advice is pretty similar in all these episodes. It's just starting a conversation and hopefully presenting a conversation in a way that your partner can hear. So
mhm.
you kind of have to approach it in a nice way and an accepting way, but open dialogue. I mean, that's what we keep coming back to over and over. It's like, that's what the point of the show is. It's making it work, putting in a little effort with your partner because you're stuck with them. This is the partner you
Yes.
chose to be with. So
Yes.
why not try a little harder?
We all have to try, and like truly I do think, to your comment, Remy, I think it can get very easy to blame or kind of add some pressure to the relationship. And we talk about sex, but we also try to make it lighthearted and fun. And like it does not need to be a fight. It does not need to be whose fault it is for anything. I think what we try to encourage here too is that it's a simple conversation that can absolutely bring on high emotions sometime and ego plenty of times, because we all want to be seen as desirable and seen as good in bed and all of that. But we've got to kind of like lean into the way we talk to our partner has got to also be the way that we would want them to talk to us, because I especially for her, our lovely listener, she already sounds like she's kind of putting that onus on him, whereas we know that it's a two-way street. And so if she can present it to him like, it feels like something that I'm missing, and less about him, what can I do to get that orgasm, because I want to enjoy this just as much as you do every time. I want to work together on it. This is what works for me, but I want to do it with you because I love you. Speaking to that love and affection and desire for each other.
And I think once he sees her getting into it, once he sees what it could be, that's going to change everything. Because if she's not really enjoying it, and then all of a sudden he sees her enjoy it, that's going to change everything. But I think the
Yeah.
approach is key. Because I think about other times where Reagan and I, it's always like the fight about money or the stressful
Mhm.
topic about the budget. Once
Mhm.
you have one conversation that's just not done well and it becomes stressful, it's hard to go back to have that conversation again.
Yes.
So this is the same thing.
Mhm.
If you've had past arguments about sex, you probably need to try a new approach, because once you start it again, it almost brings up old wounds, which is
Yeah.
hard to overcome.
It is. You're absolutely right. Brad knows now too. I mean, anytime he knows he wants to get laid, he does not bring up finances unless we're talking about something we're about to buy. Then mama's happy because I'm like, woo, we've got money. Let's talk about it. But man, if we're talking about budgeting, ugh, no, that is a buzzkill.
All our
Yeah.
royalty checks from Suburban Sex.
Yeah,
For our
right.
listeners, we don't have sponsors and we have no royalty checks.
Hey, it's coming. It's coming.
Yet.
Yet, that's right. I was gonna bring up too. Have y'all watched the cute little Netflix show about Kristen Bell, who has a sex podcast?
I
I love
started it,
it.
but then
Oh,
when you mentioned it, but then I saw like it was a big time cast, so then I had to stop,
mm-hmm.
and I'm like, Reagan's gonna want to watch this with me, so
Yeah, it's
I'm holding back
super
for her.
cute. It's really cute. It's a total rom-com. But of course I clicked on it because I saw that she has a sex podcast. I'm like, oh my God, she's doing what we're doing. But it's between her and her sister, and they're both single. And I think
She does
most
a
sex
sex podcast with her sister?
But they're on a couch and they're both
Right?
just
Weird.
talking into mics in the first scene. I'm like, that's not how it really works. But,
I know. At least not for us. Yeah.
right.
Does she do a podcast with her husband? Or is
Dax,
he on his own?
I think he's on his own with someone else.
Oh, okay.
I don't think she's on that one.
Mm.
Yeah. She's too busy being Anna from Frozen.
Right.
She's pretty legit as well, but she's probably busy. But
She's
yeah.
still Veronica Mars to me. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's super cute. Brad, if I had a sister, I'd be okay to talk about sex with her. I think
You would do a sex podcast with your sister?
totally.
So
Girls,
did
I
you
think it's like
learn
a girlfriend thing. Did I learn anything? No.
Is there anything we can learn from the show to improve
No,
our
because it's
little
all fantasy.
podcast?
It's
Oh.
like they jump into when they're 120 episodes in and woohoo, they got a deal. So
120.
I'm like, damn, we're gonna have to. What are we on, honey? Brad, what is this? Like
20 something.
Yeah, so we've got
got
some
100 to
time.
More to
go.
go.
And
Then we get a deal.
and they showed their face, so that's gonna be our womp womp womp.
Well,
Hey, you never know.
hey, maybe season 2. Stay
Season
tuned.
2.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe we're all
Season
topless
3.
in season 2.
Hey, when I get my new boobs, maybe I'll just show the boobs, no face. Just it'll be us talking, but
I'd watch that.
Just boobs. It's just zoomed in on the boobs.
yeah,
That's
no
it.
one else. They don't know who I am.
But they've seen the boobs.
With the top, of course, just like cleavage. Yeah.
I hear ya.
Classy.
Keep
Classy.
it classy. I like it.
Classy
But
cleavage.
topless.
That's what we'll call it.
Classy cleavage.
That's a good idea for a podcast.
I know.
Actually is.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to start
And-
I'm start producing
A
another
spin-off?
podcast.
We're gonna have a spin-off. Oh man. But that show's adorable. Highly recommend. For those of you listening to a sex podcast, hey, now you can watch a cute little rom-com show about a sex podcast. So add that to your list of entertainment. All right. So thanks to our listener letter for giving us something good to help with. I hope it helped. I think this is something that we're all questioning. We're all trying to figure out our own way and figure out the right way to approach something with our partner. So thank you for coming to the table with this, and we encourage the rest of our listeners to do the same. What's on your mind? What can we do? We are clearly not therapists. Brad's going to give it to you straight, and me and Remy are going to sugarcoat a little bit more, but hey, that's what you're going to get out of us. But we've got a fun rest of our season to wrap up for you for this fall. With the weather cooling down for all of us, we are out on patios more often, drinking that wine, hanging out with our partner, enjoying some good times. We've got a lot coming up. I know us mamas are already thinking about how quickly the time will go with Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it just starts to snowball. But let's just take this time while weather's looking good to listen to our favorite sex podcast, talk about it with our partner, and enjoy some of this time before all of the craziness starts. So we hope you enjoy that time. We're doing the same on our side, and we look forward to chatting with you next week. And until then, we're going to wish you all the best of your very own suburban sex.